nice easy start to your European campaign then.
Yeah, it's doesn't get much tougher than travelling to Clermont. The history, obviously, that they've got in the home ground is second to nobody. So we're fully aware of what's ahead of us and the task that I think there's maybe 47 teams haven't been able to go there and win a game. So it's a fairly impressive record that they have.
How ready are you for Europe, do you feel?
I think we're as ready as we'll ever be, really. We had a good start to the season. We had a bit of a blip, and sometimes those blips are there to test you as much as give you a bit of focus on some things that maybe you thought you had right in your game you didn't. And I think we've managed to probably focus on the couple of things that went wrong in the 2 games we lost, and I think it's been an important part of our development as a team. That when you lose, there's obviously disappointment, but it's how you react and respond to that, and how you actually learn from those mistakes as well. And I think in both games there was things in the games that we knew we didn't do as well as we should have done, and they've been focuses for us in the last couple of weeks, and in particular this week against Clermont. So it's not a bad thing sometimes to lose, but it's just making sure you learn from those mistakes, and I think we are doing.
Player availability wise, anybody in out, any changes?
Other than the long term, there shouldn't be any issues. There's maybe 1 or 2 slight niggles, but we're hoping that everyone who was available last weekend is available, and we've also Thomas Voulet also arrived yesterday as well, so he's another option in the forward pack as well. I think he's athletic, line up forward. He's I think when you look at locks, you look at probably 2 different types. One is a tight head lock, which is more of a a scrummaging lock, someone who's maybe going to win the ball at the front of the line out, and then you got the other lock, the loose head lock, who plays a little bit looser by definition. He's great, his handling's good, he's got good speed for a second row, so he's kind of that type of lock which should fit into the way we play. Someone said the other day he looked a bit like Chris Wyatt in his frame. And Chris on his day was one of the best second row forwards in the world, so it's not a bad thing. He's done a line-out session there this morning, and we've got real good options at the moment there. But Thomas looked as athletic as any of them, and he'll offer something that maybe a couple of the others wouldn't do, which is good to have that balance.
What was your background to signing him? Did you watch him?
Yeah, we watched him a lot last year, Graham. We had he featured heavily for Harlequins throughout most of last season. Then near the end, he didn't get as much game time. A lot of game time off the bench. They stuck with Cohn and Robson, the 2 that have started the season for them. So didn't get a huge amount of game time near the end. He was on the bench for the final, but didn't get on. But we just saw in him what I said, really, just athletic, good around the park. It looked like a good footballer, which is one of the areas we were looking for. We were looking to tighten things up a little bit with a couple of the signings which we've already made, but then looking for that balance in the second row as well. And sometimes you can play 2 similar players together. Sometimes you want to have that difference in the second rows as well, and I think he offers that as well, which is good.
Is George Earl okay this week?
Yeah. He didn't. Yeah, obviously he wasn't available last week, but he's available this week. Yeah.
Samson Lee came through well last Friday, a big game. Would you have any qualms about throwing him in to start the game that's challenging, especially with the scrimmaging sort of reputation of the likes of Clermont?
No, I mean he did do very well. A lot of talk from the Dragons about what they were going to come and do to us last weekend, and that served as a little bit of a motivation for Samson and others in our forward pack. So yeah, listen, he did really well. We know what he can do. He's not tested at the highest level yet, and that will come. maybe sooner rather than later. It would be a massive test for him, but a big believer if you're good enough, you're old enough. And I know at prop there's a lot of years experience which you need to get to be the best, and but we're lucky we've got Deacon there, Samson, we're bringing in Jacoby in a few weeks' time. Hopefully when he arrives he won't be available for the first 2 games, but there's a good competition there now as well, and whether we start with Deacon or Samson, I think Samson set the bar quite high last week, and it offers a challenge for Deacon now as well, so hopefully we'll get the best out of the players in those positions, because of the standard that someone set one week, then that needs to be backed up by that player or another player the week after. So he's definitely an option this week.
It gives the impression you wouldn't be afraid of going out there.
No, I'm saying he wouldn't be afraid to go in many places, Samson. I think he's fairly straight. He's very very determined. He's a young man, but he's he knows what he can do well, and scrummaging is his thing. And to be fair to him, he carried really well on the weekend after working hard in the scrum. You don't always see a prop come out and want to get his hands on the ball, but he offered himself, and it was great to see that he not only had that tight game, but he also had plenty to offer in the loose as well. So it's great that he's done that. It wasn't his first start, but he's come off the bench and he started in Connacht. But he's growing all the time, and I know Danny's very pleased with the way he's gone, especially last weekend.
Morgan kind of added to that in the back three. He must have been delighted for him, really, the way he came through. It's been a tough old time for him, isn't it?
Yeah, he's been through it all really in the last 14-15 months. So he'd done all the training, and some people were surprised that we threw him in there, but he trained with us for a couple of weeks. It wasn't like he hadn't done any rugby. He'd done plenty of rugby. His speed was better than it had been. I think conditioning levels would be the only thing where he'd in that position there's a lot of work off the ball, so you're chasing, you're working back, that's the only thing that maybe game conditioning in that position he wouldn't have had. But really pleased with his contribution, and he offers another great selection dilemma on that wing, because Andy Femi's done exceptionally well to the start of the season, and obviously George on the other wing, so there's lots of good battles going on there at the moment, in the back three in particular as well.
Is he ready to play for 80 minutes? Or?
Is Morgan?
Yeah.
That will it'll happen sometime soon, but whether it's right now, that may not happen this weekend. But what he showed on the weekend was that he was confident with his injury, and if he can get over that mental block, and he hasn't got that anymore, then the conditioning will come very quickly. He's a fit guy anyway, but it's difference between being conditioned to train and being conditioned to play, and that's probably where he's slightly off at the moment. But if needs be he has to play, then we wouldn't have any issues with that. I mean, not many people can have the likes of Morgan start on the bench or as an option and not necessarily have to play him. So it's a great position we're in there.
When you look at their team sheet, Simon, what do you think, especially behind the scrum? I mean, there's a lot of talent there, isn't there? International talent as well.
Yeah, they've got 5 or 6 class centres. They've got a couple of very good outside halves. They've got a couple of very good full-back. I think they've got a couple of teams really that they could put out, and the standards wouldn't really drop too far. No. They're very well coached under Vern Cotter, extremely well drilled. And what they do and what they've done this season really is they haven't maybe hit their straps yet, but they've actually been winning games, and that's a mark of a very good team, that you can not necessarily play to your fullest potential, but still win and come out the right end of results. They lost on the weekend away to Cast, and it's a place where they haven't won for 36 years, I think. So that's that was always going to be a mental challenge for them. But they've rested a few players in that game as well, so they'll obviously be targeting our game with it being at home. We've got to respect what they do at home, without doubt, but we've also got to try and impose our game. And as much as their backline is full of quality, I think our backline is as good as theirs as well in terms of quality on paper. So it's fairly evenly matched, I think, as much as of their quality. I think we've got similar quality as well.
Do you see
the difference can be made on scrimmage?
Yeah, that would be so important. I think if we've done a lot of work last week, since the Ospreys really, last week and Treviso and this week on that platform really, you know, and I think if we can match them up front, get some parity in the forwards, then it'll be a real challenge back on back, and there'll be a few collisions, I'd say, in that midfield and out wide, and it's, I think that's what anyone can ask for, is to have a solid platform, and then both sides can attack and go after each other. There's going to be plenty of one-on-one challenges, but obviously there's unit challenges as well, and the forwards have that as a group, and the backs will have that when they come up against each other as well.
You played a lot of games in France, Simon. What would you be telling players who might not have that kind of experience? Obviously it's going to be a full house. It's one of the most intimidating atmospheres in Europe, really.
I think if you go there and you can't hide from the fact that they've won that many games there, you know, and maybe sides go there and they think, oh, we're going to Clermont, they've lost it. It is a challenge, but some of those challenges bring out the best in players, and that's what I want, is just that the players go over there, like I said, they do respect Clermont, but let's give them something to think about, and not just sit back and try and defend. We've got to go there and actually go there positively. If you go to France with a negative mindset, I think you get what you deserve, which is a negative result. You've got to go there with a positive attitude. You've got to get a lot of things right, and we're fully aware that certain things in our game have to be nigh on perfect. But you know, if we can do that, then we've got the type of quality to create and take opportunities. So.
And won in France, and we've got plenty of experience.
Yeah, we've won there more than most. So it's be a new challenge for us. We haven't played in Clermont for a couple of years, but I think we're in a good place now to go there and open up our campaign with a good performance, and the result then will be down to small margins probably.
Does it take pressure off your shoulder to play in such a strong group with Leinster and Clermont? Is it a good thing for you to be like seen as underdogs in this group?
Possibly from outside, and rightly so. Clermont, were semi-finalists last year. Leinster won it last year, so there's an obvious perception that we would not be the favourites, or conceived to be one of the favourites in the group. But Exeter, they showed on the weekend. They hammered Harlequins at home, and the Quins scored a few points, but I think Exeter were outstanding as well in that game. So I think, by and large, it's a group that could open up, and any one of the sides could beat each other on the day. Yes, Leinster and Clermont would be favourites, and probably rightly so, but there's no real form going into this. That's all from last year, so it's all about the here and the now, and that can change quite quickly. The sort of the form book and the perception of favourites and not favourites can change fairly quickly. So it's although they are favourites, and rightly so, I think it's a fairly open group as well in terms of sides being able to beat each other on the day.